At least 5,000 demonstrators took to the streets of the Hungarian capital Budapest late Friday, as right-wing nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orbán dismissed a wave of protests against a new labor reform as hysterical shouting.
Here's a summary of the article.
At least 5,000 demonstrators took to the streets of the Hungarian capital Budapest late Friday, as right-wing nationalist Prime Minister Viktor Orbán dismissed a wave of protests against a new labor reform as hysterical shouting. Protesters marched from outside Parliament to the presidential palace on the other side of the Danube in temperatures close to freezing. During the rally, Anna Donath from the small Liberal Party Momentum read out a list of 5 demands of the protest movement, including not only the abolition of the overtime law, but also the scrapping of a recent judicial reform and more independence in public news media. Speaking at a press conference before Friday's protest, MSZP President Bertalan Toth alluded to possible protest action against businesses with ties to Orbán's Fidesz party, as well as the big employers who stand to benefit from the overtime law. Orbán used a weekly interview with public radio to double down on his defense of the law, saying that his government simply wants to get rid of silly rules so that those who want to earn more can work more. Orbán said in the interview that employees will be paid for overtime at the end of each month, but the text of the law allows employers to delay payment by up to 3 years. According to a poll published by the Publicis company on Friday, more than 2/3 of Hungarians thought the protests were justified and that the overtime law would hurt workers' interests.
This post received a score of 19,875, with an upvote ratio of 91%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Greater than Orbán said in the interview that employees will be paid for overtime at the end of each month, but the text of the law allows employers to delay payment by up to 3 years. Only 3 years, eh?
The good old boys on the right.
I hope Trump doesn't read this.
Greater than Trump plus read does not equal possible.
But he's the best reader. With the best genes. He comes from a long line of readers with genes.
A delay in payment for OT of up to 3 years? Sounds kinda like pension reform equals a way to not honor it.
Indentured servitude. Work overtime but can't say no and won't end up getting paid either.
Employers will probably use loopholes to fire people so that they don't get their pay.
They will disband and start a new company. Lol, classic Eastern Europe move.
You are owed money by Toskis. This is Toskis & Co. Take it up with them, they probably won't answer the phone, just fair warning.
It's funny how these articles get so few upvotes, comments compared to the Yellow Vest protests in France. People say this subreddit has a left-wing bias, yet so many more people support articles against left-wing leaders here than on the right.
That is a really interesting observation. You are totally right, and I am not sure how to explain the phenomenon. Also, there have been some serious protests for weeks there, and this is the first headline I've seen of it here.
Maybe France draws more attention than Hungary? Edit. There have been several lore posts about Hungary over these last few weeks.
It's because the Yellow Vest protests are larger than these. This is 5K person protest, peanuts compared to Yellow Vests.
And there are videos of police running in terror as people throw bikes and potted plants at them. France knows how to revolt, lol.
The irony is that the reform is sort of trying to offset the lack of migrant workforce since Orbán closed the borders.
Reminds me of Japan's employment situation. Something about having far more open positions than available unemployed people, some you would never want to hire, aka toxic personalities. Last year, there was some fast food restaurant business that specialized in beef noodles had to close dozens of their restaurants due to labor shortages.
Calling it a labor reform is fucked up. It's a law that allows employers to ask their staff to work up to 400 hours a week. It's not a reform.
Greater than up to 400 hours a week. You know, a week consists of 168 hours, right?
Not in Hungary. The labor reform is, apparently, also bending space and time.
JFC, don't give the US any ideas.
Just dismiss the 5,000 pins. Next week 500,000.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.